All right, so if I could show you a way to grow your brand 33% plus year over year without burning more cash, without adding a dozen new channels, and without praying to the algorithm gods that something goes in your favor, would you give me the next 10 minutes to show you how? Because the brands we scale in health and wellness, they all grow the same way by pulling just three simple levers. And the math behind this is pretty stupid simple. A lot of founders and marketers overcomplicate this, and you don't need new channels or tactics to make this happen. You just need to know what these three levers are and how to pull them. So first, why should you pay attention to me? My name is Chris Pearson. I'm one of the co-founders at 3 Beacon Marketing. Aaron, my co-founder, and I have been growing brands and businesses online for a decade plus. We've helped generate over 100 million in revenue. We've built and scaled our own brands and businesses outside of our clients. And currently, for the last 6 years, we've been specializing in health, wellness, and lifestyle. Here are some results I can talk through to show you that our system itself works, and it works well. First, Earthly, they were stuck at 1.5 million per year selling out of the garage before working with us. After we installed our 3BM ecom growth system, we helped them scale to over 21 million per year over about 6 years. And in that process, they went from the garage to actually product shipping, packing, all that fun stuff out of a 60,000 square foot warehouse in Ohio. And we were part of that process. Crazily, before working with us, they were doing about 20% of total revenue in Klaviyo, so the retention side of things. After we installed our 3BM retention revenue system, specifically for email, they were able to get their Klaviyo revenue up over 40% of total. And more specifically, they were able to get a 14x ROI on email. That's including agency and Klaviyo fees. So all those included, 14x ROI. We were able to help them go from 100K to a little over 500K per month in their business in that time frame in about 9 to 10 months. And then finally here, PowerNet, before working with us, they had a Shopify store that was doing less than 40K per month. After installing, and at the time of this recording, we're still working with them and installing our growth system. As of right now, our result and what we've been able to get them to is 115K plus per month in about 4 or 5 months, and we've got plenty of room to grow more. Another item to note with PowerNet is they have an 8-figure Amazon brand, and they wanted to turn on Shopify to get more customer data control and to scale more profitably. And we're helping them do that. If you want to see these clients and their success interviews that we've done so far with them on video, you can find that link in the description below. And if you want to see other results for other clients and other projects that we've done for people, you can see that linked in the description below as well. Now, let's get into things. Why do DTC brands plateau? So most brands usually hit a plateau for one of 3 reasons. Not enough customers are coming in the door, customers don't spend enough, customers don't come back as often or even at all. And when all 3 of these stall out, growth flatlines, or worse, we start seeing a downward trend. The opposite is also true, is when even one of these moves or improves, revenue jumps. When all 3 move even a little by a couple of percentage points, you get a compounding growth that feels frankly unfair. And then once you understand how to pull these levers, we can add in what we call a force multiplier, and I'll explain what that is later. But it makes these levers even more impactful, even with a few percentage points increases on the modest or conservative side. Now, what is the equation or the data behind this whole idea that drives everything? It's very simple, but a lot of founders, operators, marketers even either gloss over this or miss it because they're working in silos, or they're looking at channel specifics as opposed to overarching revenue growth. So this equation, revenue equals new customers times average order value times purchase frequency. It's a simple equation that gives us a high level view of, okay, if we pull these 3 levers, new customers, AOV, purchase frequency, we can see a compounding effect on our revenue growth. Now, when any of these levers are not doing well, you'll see growth flatline or decrease. The reverse again is true. If we increase these levers even by a couple percentage points to maybe 10 or 11%, you see a compounding effect on revenue. Now, let's go into the levers. The first lever is to get more new customers. That's lever number 1. Growth starts with who you bring through the door. So most brands attract the wrong people initially. Buyers who don't return, they spend too little or wait for discounts, and that's just hell to live through, frankly. So how do you attract buyers who behave like your best customers? Well, first, you want to sharpen your acquisition around your highest value buyer profile. Again, I'll share with you how to do that later in this presentation. Next, you want to study those customers who buy fast, spend more, and come back more often. And you want to shape your targeting, your creative, and your offers around these traits or these customers, because frankly, you can get fewer customers to get to your revenue goals and not have to fight the market so much. When you do this, this shifts acquisition from guessing who we're actually selling to filtering in who is and who should be and who should not be buying from us. And when you do this, conversion rate rises, your CAC stabilizes, and every downstream lever gets stronger. The second lever, or lever number 2, is increasing average order value. So every order contributes to growth, right? But not every order contributes equally. Most customers underspend not because they're cheap or they don't have the money to spend, but because the brand never truly guides them to what the next purchase is or what the bigger value offer is. So how do you raise the order value without tricks or pressure or being salesy? You want to structure your offer so that the best choice becomes the obvious choice, and that obvious choice is your product. You want to package products the way customers use them, not necessarily how we think they should buy them. This is a slight nuance or an insight with brands that we find is we'll pull the data on their customers and say, cool, based on what you know, which products and in which order should we offer them, we get an order set or an offer map, if you will, a buy-through map, and the data shows a different story. And so taking data or assumptions, taking assumptions and backing it with data and changing or confirming the narrative that we believe will actually give us a better idea of what to offer people and when. So when customers start seeing more value in those products because they're sequenced in the right order, they start choosing higher order options or purchasing more and more quickly. And this will lift AOV, it'll improve margins, and it increases profitability from day one. Now, the third lever, or lever number 3, we want to increase purchase frequency or how often somebody buys. Repeat purchases drive stable, predictable growth. So most customers don't return because the brand doesn't really say, hey, you should return, or here's the next step on the bridge to get to where you want to go, or here's the bigger problem you're actually solving, not this one. The customers forget, they get distracted, they have a family, they have 1,000 other brands trying to get their attention, right? They don't know when to come back or why they should. So how do you increase purchase frequency without spamming or discounting, or again, being salesy or spammy about things? We want to build a system that makes the next purchase the natural next step. Okay. So we want to use behavior-based reminders. We want to teach customers how to get more value from what they bought. So we want to increase consumption as much as we can. And we want to remove friction from reordering as much as humanly possible. If we can get their reorder down to click this button, confirm checkout, and they're reordered, that is the ideal scenario because they don't want to think about it. They say, cool, I bought this product last. I remember doing that. You just reminded me. I did like it. I got the result I wanted, and I'm ready to reorder. I don't want to send them through a labyrinth during checkout. I want them just to click, done, and they're on their way, right? So when you do things like this, customers will come back sooner and more often because they're reminded. And also, too, it's easier to do. They don't have to fight you to actually buy from you. This actually helps stabilize cash flow, and overall, the big metric is it improves your customer lifetime value, which is the huge metric on the ratio of CAC to LTV, right? Now, with those 3 levers being said, I wanted to show just a simple stalled brand example, show you some math. Now, let's say you're running a brand doing 13.5 million a year, and growth is really flatlined or plateaued, right? New customers aren't growing. AOV is stuck around $68. Frequency is at 1.2, which frankly is pretty low. So you start pulling levers. Lever 1, we want to sharpen our targeting. So we have an idea of who our high value customer is, and we start increasing our new customer acquisition by 8%. Okay. Not a huge deal. That's not something to call home about, but it is an increase, right? Lever 2, we introduce bundles or different types of offers to increase the average order value. Our AOV rises from $68 to $76. That's about 11% increase. And then we pull lever 3, which is we install some behavior-based flows, email, SMS, direct mail, etc. And we see our frequency rise about 11%. Now, if you look at these numbers individually, they don't look huge. They look pretty small. An 8% at an 11% increase. Those are not huge jumps. But when you actually do the math on this, it actually compounds. So when you take an 8% increase on customers, you take an 11% increase on AOV, and you take an 11% increase on repeat improvement on repeat purchase rate, you get over a 33% increase on revenue. Now, these 3 levers pulled, they multiply, and they create that gap between 13.5 and 17.96 million. This is how small hinges swing big doors. This is the piece that a lot of founders or operators miss, and a lot of marketers don't talk about because they're in their siloed channels. You have an email SMS vendor, you have a conversion website vendor, and you have an acquisition meta Google vendor. And they're not talking about this stuff because they're just trying to make ROAS better, making conversion rate better, and making revenue go up when they send emails or SMS. They're not talking about this equation to say, hey, overall, if we align on things, we can create some compounding growth for the brand without doing a whole lot of heavy lifting, right? It's just math. Now, with that being said, I promise the force multiplier And I want to walk you through this and how to make these levers even more effective for your brand. So most founders try to move each lever in isolation. I just explained that. A lot of people are in silos. They don't really connect the dots, or that equation isn't really top of mind, right? In trying to do this in isolation or in siloed situations, it's slow and it's costly. Eventually you can get there, but it's going to take you more time, energy, effort. You're going to be managing a lot of the process, and you're not going to be able to pass this to somebody and say, hey, here are the 3 levers. Here's the force multiplier. Let's grow this thing. The more efficient and quicker path is to focus on those star customers that amplify those levers, right? So who are these star customers? Who are your ideal buyers that do the things we want them to do? They come in the door and they're just super high value. Well, they buy quickly, they spend more, and they return without being pushed. They refer friends, and they stay loyal for a long time. So to find them, we look for these traits or these factors. It's not a perfect science. This is the data point. These are the data points we look for, and we kind of mold together a narrative or a story of who this customer is. So we look at top 10 to 20% by lifetime customer value. They typically spend 3 times or more on AOV, your current AOV. They buy across 2, 3, 4 categories. We typically start with 3, and we'll adjust based on how many products or your SKU catalog, what it looks like. And then they also they shorten the gap between purchases. So for example, if your average repeat purchase rate is 92 days, they're buying sooner than that. So they're buying in 30, 50, 60, 70, 80 days. They're buying in that shorter window. Okay. So again, top 10 to 20% by LTV, spends at 3x or more of AOV, buy across 3+ categories, and there's shorter gaps between purchases. So once we find those customers, we want to study them and look at them and build the narrative around who are these people. We want to look at their behaviors, their patterns, what they're actually doing. Then we want to build and optimize our acquisition, our conversion, and our retention systems inside of our marketing to attract, convert, and keep more and create more of these customers. Because the big reason here, and this is something, again, that kind of gets tossed aside or ignored or just not really focused on, is that these star customers, they cost about the same to acquire, but spend 3x to 10x more than your average buyer in your brand. So if we're able to find these customers, we're able to attract them, get them to convert on their first purchase, and we're able to keep them coming back and buying for more, you're going to need fewer customers to get to those revenue goals that you have. And it's going to take less time, less effort, less money, less resources to do it. So this is the force multiplier with those customers. And this is why it's so important to brands to do this equation, focus on these levers, and grow through them. Now, with all that being said, where do you go from here? How do you break through that plateau maybe you're in right now? First, focus on these 3 levers. You want to move and improve these 3 levers: new customers, AOV, frequency, and then go and find your star customers. Use your star customers to influence how you improve these 3 levers, how you improve your marketing system. Once you start doing that, you'll start seeing growth in these areas. You'll start seeing that revenue compound. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments below the video. I'll answer each one and do the best I can to help. Also, I'd like to ask, if this was useful, please like and subscribe to the video. And finally, if and when you're ready, we actually help DTC health and wellness brands scale profitably with our 3BM e-com growth system. I've mentioned it a few times today. So use that link below in the description to book a quick 15-minute call with me, and we'll go through some questions and see if it actually makes sense for us to help you out. If not, no worries. But at the end of the day, that conversation is going to be more valuable than you not having it. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.